Hey, Voyageislam, how are you? Thanks for your interaction. I apologize for calling you ex-Baptist. You said you're not ex-Baptist, you're ex-Southern Baptist. I don't know the difference, honestly. But I can resist. You just made a comment about the story of Abraham in the book of Genesis, totally false. The real story in the Quran by the biblical version and the truth coincides in this matter. It was a test of Abraham's faith. I'm not an ex-Baptist. I'm an ex-Southern Baptist. They're not the same. I apologize for calling you. I need to get my Baptist straight. I apologize about that. But now you're a Muslim. But my question, I don't think he caught really what the beef of the question was. First of all, let me address about you think the Quran tells more accurate story about Abraham. I don't even know how to approach that, my good friend. I really don't. It's just bizarre, and I see just pride manifested at its best, meaning with all due respect. Um, so you're telling me a book that came 4,000 years later, or even more? I'm gonna go for 5,000 years later, after the book of Genesis. That is more accurate, and it was written by self-proclaimed Muhammad out of nowhere. And you're gonna buy that. And I'm assuming you're a very level-headed, sane person. But just me and you, sitting and having sipping coffee, leave all these faiths out of it. Somebody was just gonna lay these two books, and let's assume both of us, we see their claims and we add two and two together, and I've got a book that comes 5,000 years out later after this book, and the book that was there, the book of Torah, told the story itself. It was the genesis of that story itself. But a book comes 5,000 years later and tells it that its own story is not accurate. I think that's lunatic, man. That's insane. We can say this to each other. I mean, I genuinely am speaking to you, brother. I'm not even talking about any faith. Forget Islam, Christianity, or Judaism. At night, we got to lay down and face our own conscience. And you're telling me you believe that. That a book 4,000 years or 5,000 years later came and told you that the book 5,000 years ago, the story that was told from it was the one that started the whole thing. It's wrong. Wow. Okay. Now let's go to the beef of the question. The reason why I'm making this video is I asked you, Ibrahim, Abraham. Okay. God told him that sacrifice your son. I don't care if it's Ishmael or Isaac. That's not the point. I'm sure you're going to argue about that too. But the question is, God instigates about sacrificing a son. The same thing what Christians say. That the same God that instigated that event to Abraham, told him sacrifice your son, that the same God, since it was his idea, he sacrificed his own son. But I want you to split that idea in half. Just stick to Abraham. How does Islam digest or ferment this in their mind when they hear a God that tells his best friend Abraham or Ibrahim to sacrifice his beloved son? He calls him your only son in the Bible. But yet, that the same God, if Christianity says he sacrificed his own son, you're not having it. But that's okay, that's fine. I just want you to see, how does Islam look at the Abraham, God telling him to sacrifice his own son? Why did God do that? Is it for shock value? What is it? I just want to hear what you have to say. And I hope you cut a video on this. Secondly, second part of that question is, why is God wanting a sacrifice? Why? It's almost he's instigating for a person to be sacrificed. Forget the lamb. Later on he switches with the lamb, but almost he wanted a sacrifice of a person. I want you to digest that. Don't please, just, I want your own input on that. Okay? And I know Islam believes that God told Ibrahim to sacrifice his son. That story's known by every little boy in Islam. Okay? So please elaborate. Gracias. Bye.